scary town. I'm Nemo, and this week we're going to review something completely different, and this whole month is going to be themed around Fear Street, that other R.L. Stine horror series you might have heard of. And this review is going to be about Cheerleaders, 5-book series, and the first book is aptly named The First Evil. Alright, so our two main characters, Bobbi and Corky, are sisters, Bobbi being 1 year older. They've just moved into town onto Fear Street. Not sure why we'd ever want to live on a place called Fear Street, but you know, it is what it is. So they move in. They are accomplished cheerleaders. Back in their hometown, they took their cheerleader squad to the state finals, and they're like really well known and stuff. And apparently, there was like they're on ESPN or something or whatever. And so once they go to school, they want to try out for the cheerleader squad, but at this point it's kind of late into the game because the squad has already been finalized like over the summer, and their chances are pretty slim. But they do their thing. They show off to the coach and the captain of the cheerleader team, Jennifer, and they were really impressed. Like, they do these double cartwheels, and they have the skills, you know, to pay the bills. They're really impressive. So they're instantly off spots onto the team, which there is one person who does not like this, is Kimmy. And Kimmy is kind of like the most interesting character in the book, but she's like this typical, like, she's like the mean girl. Like, she's really selfish, and she's been on the squad for 2 years, and she was, you know, like, she doesn't like these newcomers, and she herself, she's kind of like a little pudgy, and she's not as pretty as the other girls, but she makes up for it with her enthusiasm, and she's like very entertaining. So then they make it on the team, and Kimmy doesn't like it. Says she's, you know, like, she's not impressed, but all the other girls are impressed. And so that kind of builds the hate that Kimmy has for Bobbi and Corky. Things start rolling around, and they're about to go to the next game. It's like a stormy night, and then of course, you know, this is bad news already. You know, something bad's gonna happen. And on this bus, and they're going to the game, and they have this flaming baton bit that they were going to do at the game to wow the audience, but Bobbi remembers, like, oh, she forgot the batons at her place back in Fear Street because her and her sister were practicing for the bit, and so they're like, oh, have to turn around and go back to their house to get the batons. But on the way, it's never really explained. The bus driver opens the door, the side door, for like no reason, and then because it's like the road's wet, he loses balance on the road, and he skids and hits a tree, and the whole entire bus is knocked over to its side. And Jennifer, she's like launched out into the windshield breaks, and until later you don't know what happens, but apparently she slammed into the gravestone of Sarah Fear. So anyway, everyone escapes mostly unharmed. I think one of the girls gets like a sprained leg, and Kimmy hurt her arm, just like it's going to be put in a cast, but just nothing serious. But they're like And so like, where's Jennifer? And so they get out of the bus and they find her sprawled against the grave of Sarah Fear, and they're like, oh god. And the paramedics come in because like somebody in the neighborhood heard the accident and they called the paramedics, and Bobbi walks over to Jennifer on the stretcher, and then out of nowhere Jennifer grabs her hand and opens her eyes and saying like, hey, you know, I'm still alive, which is odd because she was pronounced dead, but now she's alive. It seems very odd. So that's clue number one. Something's definitely wrong there. And so flash forward 2 weeks later, Jennifer is confined to a wheelchair, and we can only assume that she's paralyzed, though nothing has been said of the such. So that may be like clue 1.5 or something. Something's not right there. And so since Jennifer's out, they need a new captain, and so they have like this tryout, whatever. And the whole thing is and the viewpoint of Kimmy, and she's like, she's like, my parents are in the stands, and she's all like thinking like she's got this in the bag because, you know, she's the assistant captain and she's been there for 2 years, and she's got a lot of people supporting her, like some of the other girls are in her camp, and, you know, I think this is gonna, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion she's gonna be the captain. And then it's Bobbi. Bobbi's picked as the captain, and she's just like, she just like loses it. She loses her cool, gets so real steam, and she feels like embarrassed that like everyone's seeing how upset she looks, and then she just storms out of the gym. And she runs off and is like, no. And I mean, I have to kind of agree with her. Kind of, it doesn't make sense why she wasn't picked captain. I mean, Bobbi has only been working on the squad for like a few weeks, and it, you know, I mean, her and her sister are like super talented and everything, but why would they make her captain? I mean, Kimmy's has more experience, and I don't know. But I understand why it was done, to create some conflict between Kimmy and Bobbi. And so Kimmy is just threatening to quit the team because she's had enough of this. But behind the scenes, Jennifer talks her out of it, and she comes back into the team. After all that, Bobbi goes to her locker, and she's feeling pretty good. She's made captain, of course. And this girl comes up to her locker saying, hey, Bobbi, congratulations on making the captain of the cheerleader squad. My name's Kari. I just wanted to say, you know, way to go, you know, I think you're going to do a great job. And it's like, I'm thinking like, who the hell is this? This is a named character, and she doesn't show up for the rest of the book. I'm like, who's this? So I did some digging. Kari is the main character of another Fear Street book, Party Summer. And she shows up in some other books as well. And it's not long after until Bobbi attracts the attention of the quarterback of Shadyside Tigers, and it's Chip. He basically asks her out on a date, and she says, you know, of course she says, yeah, sure, I'll meet you after the next game, and we'll go out for like a steak or whatever. I don't know what these kids do. And so things are going pretty well with her. Like, she's captain of the team, and now she has a date with the quarterback of the team, so there's nothing can stop her, right? And she tells all this to Jennifer. The two of them have become fast friends after her accident and whatnot. So she tells her that Chip asked her out on a date, and she's like, you didn't say yes, did you? And it was like, ooh, it's a little strange that she would say that, when you should think she'd be more supportive. And I thought that was kind of interesting to know, and that definitely will come to play later. You're like, she used to be Kimmy's boyfriend, and he's like, what? He's like, what? No. This is another reason for Kimmy to hate her. Apparently they broke up like a couple of weeks ago, so it's not like big thing, but obviously it's gonna get Kimmy, all riled up. And so they go to the next game, and something odd happens, where like Chip, there's 2 plays where he basically like he's frozen, like he can't move his body, like he goes for like a pass, but then he can't move his body, like it's weird. He's suspended in animation there, and he gets sacked, and then the next play, pretty much there was like a run play, and he kind of freezes again, and he can't move. It's very odd. He doesn't know what's going on there, and he basically gets dogpiled by all the other players. And he gets a mild concussion, and it doesn't stop him from meeting Bobbi after the game, and he's just feeling really out of it. He's like, I don't know what happened. Like, I don't. It was like I was just outside my body. I couldn't move, and he gives her a ride back, and just after a while, it was very strange. And so the next thing that happens is Bobbi has this new routine that she's gonna teach Kimmy, where it's a pretty dangerous move, where what it entails is basically Kimmy is gonna be leapfrogging off somebody and vaulting off, and it's up to Bobbi to like catch her. And it's something is messed up there, because like she's a little bit overweight, and you're just like, how she can catch her and stuff. But anyways, so the whole thing ends with like she's reaching out, like she's like, oh, I'm ready, and then like she freezes just like Chip did, and is like, I can't move to warn her or to catch her. And so this is really messed up. Kimmy like since nobody's there to catch her, she just falls like flat on her face, and it's like you hear this crunch, because like her like arm, I don't know if it's the same arm she messed up in the bus trip. You can hear like the bone snap or whatever. I don't think it was broken or whatever, but it probably got messed up pretty bad, and she's like knocked out. And then like her friends in the cheerleader squad that always supported her saying like, you did it on purpose, like, why didn't you even try to catch her, and all this is messed up. He's like, oh, I couldn't move, and like nobody's buying it. And then when Kimmy finally comes to, she's just like, you did it on purpose. You wanted to hurt me. It's like, how could you? And it's like, she goes over to Jennifer's house to tell her about the whole thing, but Jennifer's just like, sounds really weird, I mean, both of you were kind of frozen in a state, and doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, maybe you should see a doctor or something, or maybe it's just like all in your head, whatnot, And so Bobbi leaves her house, but as she's leaving, like because it's night out, and she sees in the curtains in the window, there's this shadow of somebody standing up and moving around, and it's like, there's nobody else was home with Jennifer. Like, this doesn't make any sense. It's like, how is Jennifer walking? Is she like all of a sudden like found out she can walk again? And so she goes back and rings the doorbell, and then Jennifer comes in the wheelchair and says like, did you forget something? It's like, well, maybe, it's stress is getting into me. Maybe I saw something that wasn't there. But that's clue number 2. Something is wrong with Jennifer. And so she goes to confide with her sister Corky, and then Corky thinks she's like crazy, banana pants crazy, like, is like, maybe you need some therapy, or you need to see like a doctor. You sound crazy. I mean, this sounds absurd. So she's like fed up with it. She walks out saying like, like, you're a traitor to me. Like, I used to trust you. You used to be somebody I could trust. The next few days later, she's like trying to get the team to get into the routine and whatnot, but they're just not into it, and Kimmy's pretty much turned the team against her at this point. And they're just waiting, and the Miss Green, the coach, comes in and calls Bobbi into her room, basically saying like she's going to be forced to quit the team because she's lost the confidence of the team because she didn't catch Kimmy, and this is just not going to work out, so she's going to be forced to quit the team. And so she just kind of go home and kind of sulks and whatnot. And surprise, surprise, Kimmy is the new captain of the team, and she's like really into it and whatnot. And this kind of really wrecks her. And so Bobbi's like about to go home, but she's like, I'm gonna just take a shower in the locker room and then I'm gonna head home. So she goes in and reaches for the knob, and then the shower hits her with like scalding hot water, and all of a sudden all the other shower heads come out and spray her with scalding hot water, and she reaches for the knob to turn it off, but it won't turn off, and then she's like trapped, and she tries to leave out the door, but the door is locked and she can't leave, and then the water is just like rising up and she's like burning, and like she just collapses. And so her sister was busy taking a test, and Corky comes in and notices like I guess practice got delayed or dismissed, and like, I wonder where my sister is. She goes to the locker room and then notices Bobbi's clothes there, and he's like, okay, Bobbi's in the shower, so I'll go and see how she's doing. And then she notices a lot of water comes out of the door when she opens it, obviously, and then she sees her sister's body like against the wall, and she's like as red as a lobster, and she's dead. It's really messed up looking, like, oh god. And nobody knows what happens, but Corky, like underneath Bobbi's clothes, there was this pendant that was given to Kimmy by Jennifer. And so when she figures that out, she goes to basically accuse Kimmy of murdering her sister and saying, like, I know that you did it because this is the pendant. And she's like, I just want you to admit it, the whole thing. And it's like, I don't know what you're talking about. You sound upset, I really feel sorry for what happened to your sister and stuff, and I really hated her, but I would never kill somebody. And then she admits that that used to be my pendant, but I gave it back to Jennifer because she wanted it. And it's like, oh, what? And she could tell from her expression and her manner of speaking is like she was telling the truth. It's like, oh no, I was wrong. And it was Jennifer. And she remembers that Bobbi had confided in her and saying that she believed that Jennifer was faking that she was paralyzed in the wheelchair. And she's walking and it's like, it must be Jennifer, something's not right there. And so she drives over to Jennifer's house, but Jennifer gets into a car and then drives off, and she follows her to the cemetery outside of Fear Street. of course, conveniently, the cemetery is near Fear Street. Why wouldn't it be? And so she follows there, and she kind of gets out of the car and kind of keeps her distance and sees Jennifer get out of the car, and yeah, she's walking, so her sister was, she wasn't crazy. And she sees the strangest thing. Jennifer is doing like a little dance near the grave of Sarah Fear. Like, this is very, very unusual. Like, what's going on here? And then she can't hold it in anymore, so she rushes and confronts Jennifer, saying like, hey, is like, this pendant is yours, right? He's like, you killed my sister. And he's like, didn't you, Jennifer? And then she says, like, I'm not Jennifer, I'm not Jennifer, I'm not Jennifer, I'm not Jennifer. And basically revealing that the real Jennifer died those weeks ago in the bus crash, and Sarah Fear is possessing her body now. And she's like, I'm taking revenge on those who were enemies of Jennifer in her life. And that explains why she messed with Chip at the football game, and she messed with Bobbi, causing Kimmy to hurt herself, and she was the one that killed Bobbi. And so with all that revealed, it's like, whoa, this is like, this is crazy. And then I guess with the power that the evil spirit of Sarah Fear has, she causes the ground to upturn and create like this dirt to like encapsulate Corky's body so she can't move. And then she can hear that Kimmy and her friends are nearby because they follow her. They're probably concerned for her well-being, and they're like, what the fuck is going on? There's like, instantly, like, why is Jennifer walking on, she should be paralyzed, but then like creating like this dirt cocoon around Corky. He's like, what? And what's is awesome is Corky's able to escape because Jennifer, or not Jennifer, Sarah Fear, her plan is to throw her into the coffin that's open in her grave, and to toss her in there and bury her alive. And she tosses her in, but then Corky does like this cheerleader like vault off of it. Like, she jumps off of the coffin and then gets back on her feet and then jumps on top of not Jennifer, and this like chokes the life out of her. And basically the spirit of Sarah Fear is like extinguished in like this kind of like this wind of this bursts out of her mouth and goes into the coffin. The coffin door slams shut and it buries itself back up. Okay, you just kind of run with it, whatever. And then everything's cool, like afterwards. And then it kind of leads into the cliffhanger where like she goes back home into her bed, and then she finds the Jennifer's pendant there on her bed. It's like, oh. And it's going to continue in the next book, the second evil. But so that's basically what happens, and it was surprisingly fun. I didn't really expect much out of this one. This is my first Fear Street book, so I wasn't really sure what to expect. But as a Fear Street book, from going from Goosebumps to this the book is longer, and the story's more fleshed out, and it's a bit more mature than and less juvenile than Goosebumps. I like the characters. I mean, Kimmy was a lot of fun. Just seeing her genuinely like really pissed off, and for good reason, you know. She was turned up from being captain, and these new girls come in and just basically like steal her thunder, and it's a lot of fun to see her react to everything. And what was cool about this is the main character Bobbi actually dies, and like you never see that in a lot of books, and especially not Goosebumps, because like hardly anybody be, especially the main characters, because kids can't die. But these are teenagers, and R.L. Stine like is not afraid to off these teens, and it's just interesting that the main character is offed, and like a little more than like maybe 3/4 are into the book, and then it switches to her sister Corky, and at various points, like we see the Kimmy's viewpoint, and so it's cool that it kind of changes things up, because you know there's more time for the story to breathe, because it's like twice as long as the Goosebumps book. So I like that. And as far as the story itself, it's a lot of fun. It keeps you guessing. Like the clues to Jennifer being the culprit are like you kind of know something's going on with her, but it's not until that she's shown like walking in at night behind the blinds, then you're just like, okay, you know, definitely something's going on there. But you knew something was kind of suspicious from the get-go. It was like she was pronounced dead, but then she's somehow back to life, and it's like, why would they show her like right next to Sarah Fear's tombstone? I don't have anything bad to say about this. It was so good. I mean, I would say that I want there to be more, but this is part of a series, and we're going to see what happens with Corky and her friends and the next couple of books. So it's okay. This is pretty awesome, and I'm glad that this was my first foray into Fear Street. So I'm like, okay, I'm kind of hooked. Want to read more. So that's it for my review of Fear Street Cheerleaders, The First Evil. Let me know what you guys think. Have you read this? Or have you read any of the other Fear Street books? Just let me know, like, you know, what you would recommend, and what are your thoughts on any of the Fear Street books. Doesn't have to be about the Cheerleaders First Evil. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time with Cheerleaders, The Second Evil. Alright, bye.